This week, we've been seeing lots of sightings of both the Prince and Princess of Wales.
And another disappointment for Brand Sussex as Netflix says bye, bye, bye. Welcome to Heirs and Spares, the show that dives into the fascinating world of two of the most recognized royal couples from both sides of the Atlantic. I'm Kinsey Schofield, and I'll be bringing you updates on Prince Harry and Meghan right here in California.
And I'm Rupert Bell. I'm not at home this week. I'm actually in Cheltenham, a beautiful spa town in the heart of the Cotswolds. But I will be bringing you, as usual, the news on the Prince and Princess of Wales as I get ready for a big race week.
Hey, Rupert, Prince William made headlines when he tried his hand at customer service on Thursday, taking orders and creating pastries for Gear Farm Pastry Company in Helston. This is not the first time I've seen him pick up the telephone when he's on a royal engagement. It's one of his cutest bits, very dad jokes. Or, like he gets on the phone, the person on the other line, they have no idea they're talking to the future king. And he is just as charming as can be. Frances, who works there, she said, we made a pastry for each of the family members with an initial on it and a crown. And if we can get that picture, I hope that we share that because it's the cutest thing. He took them home to his family, but he said he wasn't sure if they would make it home. He might have to eat them on the way. They're dealing with a really difficult situation right now with the entire world talking about Uncle Andrew. To see how spirited and just wonderful and witty he is a bit of a relief with all of the negativity surrounding the royals.
Yeah, the show must go on. I think that's his mantra, isn't it?
Mhm.
We've got to get out there, got to do our thing. I think it's Cornish pasties,
Oh, is it?
I
Is that
think,
how you
rather
say
than
that?
pastries.
Oh, okay. Do we say it?
Well, pasty,
Does
they,
your ask your wait, because you have an American wife. Is it the same thing
yeah,
or is it a different thing?
it's a pasty is something they eat in Cornwall.
Oh,
It's got pastry around it. It's basically the sort of food for the workers because it was, you know, if you'd been working, you'd go away with and go out with a pasty, which is basically filled of meat. There are some people who can make two times. I'm not a complete expert on pasty, and I'm sure any people from Cornwall will absolutely have my guts for garters because I probably got it wrong. But in the real terms, pasty is food that you take away. It's very filling, and so for the workers, traditional food. So that is for something that is very much part of Cornwall is the Cornish pasty. Now these look a little different. Obviously, the pictures suggest, with the coronet, they've been given a bit of a glam thing, but they talk about the crimping because what you do is you fill it, roll the pastry over top, and then crimp it and then cook it. That's what you do. You can have it hot or cold, but they're a big industry. The Cornish pasty is something, obviously, what it says is from that part of the world. So that's not a pastry as in such, which is slightly different. So I hope I've got it reasonably correct, but I'm sure our alert viewers will be correcting me along the way. But the Cornish pasty, and it's something, and you saw the pictures of the people who were down there. It is very much a traditional food from that part of this country. And for him to go on, Juicy Josie, I don't know what she was called at one stage, as he got her name, called her Juicy, to much hilarity, it would seem, from the listening workers and the people on hand. But quite cleverly, Josie managed to get 15 free pasties. So 10 frozen and five fresh. So she did well because I think that the farmers got quite a lot of publicity as a result of this telephone order.
yeah, thank you for correcting me there because it is written that way. And I heard him say it that way. I think I'm just used to carbs, my own sweet, loving American carb obsession. So I mispronounced it. So thank you so much for correcting me
No,
there.
no, no worries about that. But also, you should try a pasty. Just try one, okay? When you next come over here, you can get them all over the place. They're filling. You probably don't need much else for the rest of the day, but that's the whole point of them. So they are a very popular part of the West Country diet, and also lots of people eat them all over the country. So
I'm not
good.
gonna lie to you. The second I started working for this company, the company you and
Yeah,
I work for,
yeah.
they put me in a green room and they filled
Yeah.
my body full of British foods. And I have been
Yes.
so traumatized ever since. They made me eat eel something. So whenever I go over there, I pack a ton of protein bars and I almost exclusively only eat protein bars because I'm so traumatized.
Well, eels isn't a jellied eels is an acquired taste. I
But
would
it was
definitely
things
say that.
like that. It was like things like the pasty. It was things, so I'm just kind of
What about Yorkshire pudding? Would you eat a Yorkshire pudding? Do you know what that is? With your beef, roast beef and Yorkshire pudding?
I
Um,
Googled that recently because one of my friends was having it. So I recently
right.
Googled that.
I'm just trying to think what else that might have given you. Well,
I mean, fish and chips. I'll do fish and chips. Like when Kevin
oh,
O'Sullivan and I went to lunch, I had some fish and chips, and I loved mashed peas. Like that is delicious.
mushy peas, not mushy peas, is what
Mushy
you have
peas.
to.
I like mushy
Mushy
peas,
peas, right?
but
But I'll make you eat a Cornish pasty next time you come over, and hopefully take the trauma of you eating traditional British food. It's like my wife when she takes me to America. She wants me to go and eat some various things. So I'm thinking, what that is not a combination. I don't know. But, okay, because the first time you eat an American sandwich and you've got about 50 different things going on. What's that about? So I mean, I love a bit of dill pickle. But I mean, then you add everything else to it, and I'm going, what? And it's about this tall.
yeah,
You can't get your mouth around it. So anyway, so you say
you can
tomato,
relate.
you say tomato, and I say tomato. So
Yeah.
or whatever the phrase is. But there we go. We digress away from the delights of a Cornish pasty.
Well, we are talking about our different cultures, which I do think charms
Yeah.
the audience. I don't think they'll hate the you know reroute so bad. Let's talk about the Princess of Wales. We got a beautiful message from her celebrating International Women's Day over the weekend. She wrote, "Today we celebrate the kindness, resilience, and quiet strength of women in our families and communities." She also reposted a few spotlight highlights of women doing impactful work throughout various organizations. I also think we should mention that on the day we're recording this, we saw the Prince and Princess of Wales at Commonwealth Day, and they looked beautiful. This is notably the first time we've seen the family collectively. Unfortunately, since Andrew was arrested, and I say unfortunately because that's what most of the headlines are about, not Commonwealth Day. Um, what was your impression of the Prince and Princess of Wales today? They looked strong, they looked stoic, they looked beautiful.
Well, I think in many ways the Commonwealth Day is a very important sort of message today because of the sort of troubled world we're currently living in. The Commonwealth is Britain's attempt, way of having some relevance. And the Commonwealth is an incredibly important institution as far as the monarchy is concerned. And obviously, it is a significant day. So to celebrate that with everything that's going on, it is very important. And it is important for they've got this is the part of the show must go on.
Mm.
Okay, we can, light-hearted bits when he's talking about ordering Cornish pasties. This is the really important role that they have to play, and he knows he will become head of the Commonwealth. And obviously, and Britain's role within that, it is often defined by the royal family, and obviously from a political point of view. So there's a lot going on there. So they've got to look good and got to go out there and show a united front for the king and all that entails. So it's very important. So I definitely think that it's probably almost more important than anything else that they will have done being there today, putting Britain, showing Britain on an international stage what the Commonwealth is about. Of course, they have the Commonwealth Games, they have various other things, and I know there are important charities within the Commonwealth that the royal family are involved with, things like the Victoria League. So the Commonwealth has a very important part of the royal family sort of working life, and so today is a very important day from as we record this for them as being going to the service, celebrating all that is good about the Commonwealth.
You're absolutely right. And for the American audience, a Commonwealth Day. It's celebrated every year on the second Monday in March. And it's really a global celebration of the 56 countries in the Commonwealth. It promotes shared values of peace, which is so important right now, democracy and equality across Africa, Asia, the Caribbean, Europe, and the Pacific. Um, and King Charles really used his message today to champion this rare and precious, I think he called it, alliance and an increasingly fragmented world. So, a great opportunity to see the royal family collectively, as well as Westminster Abbey, always the star of the show, such a beautiful venue, and gives us a reminder of the history and the tradition that is so important surrounding the royal family.
Yeah, and of course, in some cases, some of those countries, the royal family are the sort of head of state. You think of Canada, Australia, that is why the royal family is incredibly important. It's okay. It sort of, throws from the days of the British Empire. So it's a very different area, but it is a uniting force for countries and Britain at the center of it. And as you say, an increasingly fragmented and disenfranchised world with everything that's going on, the Commonwealth is being shown to good effect. Can it make sure that it's seen to be relevant? And then that's part of the royal family's job, is to make sure the Commonwealth does, they feel valued as part of this organization. And it's an important one. You went from a political point of view, it's important. From a symbolic point of view, it is also important. So that's why seeing the Prince and Princess of Wales on show as they were, as we record this on the Monday of the week, it is a symbolic and important day, and trying to rise above all the other headlines to make sure it's seen to be a relevant, and I'm sure behind the scenes, this is where all the politicking goes on. It means quite a lot in terms of from the royal family point of view. But good to see the Princess of Wales sort of not, the King's obviously leading from the front, but there to support him, knowing in time that Prince William will become head of that institution.
Well, we didn't linger on International Women's Day on that post
Mhm.
for very long, but it is important that we bring it up because did you see Meghan Markle had to post an International Women's Day picture?
Well, this is I knew we had you go, oh my God. Right, okay, here we go. How long are we into this program? About
Well,
20 minutes,
it's
15.
interesting because Catherine is elevating other people.
Mm,
Catherine is like, here are the
mm,
charities that matter
yeah.
to me. Here are the females that are so important to these charities that matter to me. And Meghan Markle's like, me, and my
Yeah,
child,
no,
the
no.
only child I ever
I
acknowledged.
know, and it absolutely is the point, the different sort of agenda you can see, because obviously we're going to come to what's been going on in the Sussexes world, but it is so important that the role of the working role is to celebrate people. In her case, to celebrate International Women's Day, it is an important means, and again, when you look at what is going on in the world, women still being persecuted and not being able to, operate normally, it really is a hugely symbolic day, and it should be about celebrating the work of others and what women do in a sort of many ways unsung kind of way, you know. So I really do think the two sort of approaches to it are poles apart and tell you so much about what is the different values from different people. Kate is about service and celebrating the service of women, whereas the other one, as you say, it is all about me and how wonderful I am. And poor old Archie is what I know it's Women's Day, but
I
where's
know, but like,
Archie?
do we ever get Archie posts? Like, I
Oh,
need proof of life at this point for baby Archie. Like, proof of life.
to me, look, okay, there are two women being celebrated, the child and the mother. But again, it's the old back view, sort of looking me lovingly over the Californian coastline. I mean, it just, I find it deeply frustrating. And
Shallow.
then, well, it's as shallow as it. No, it's so wrong. She should have been, I thought they were in Jordan recently. Well, she should have had pictures of, here we go, celebrating the work of the women they may have been working in the Middle East, when that might have seemed far more relevant and significant.
So
Because when
much
you're,
more significant. It would have also made that trip feel a little bit more authentic and
mm,
sincere if she would
yeah,
have done a throwback versus let me get my good PR. I'm done getting my
yeah.
good PR. Bye,
Uh,
everybody.
and it's coming off the back of the sort of, which we'll come to obviously more on the Netflix in a minute, but and the way her brand is going. So again, I just think, now if they're going to go on these quasi-royal tours, here's the perfect example to use and say something about that trip and what it meant to, I'm sure they did come across women and celebrate what they're doing in probably quite difficult circumstances, maybe in Jordan. I don't know. So again, just wrong PR,
I just think
and
too, Rupert, like there is some, and I'm sorry to the audience that hears this more than once, but oversaturation is real. Oversaturation is real. And Harry and Meghan have zero substance, and they've had zero substance for years now. Go away for a little while. I think she is delusional or completely oblivious to the fact that people do not like her. And
well,
we'll go through a list of reasons,
eh,
proof that people don't like her, because we're about to talk about her getting fired and branding experts saying the audience is not there. But like, how does she not see that and continue to want to put stuff out into the world? I go away for a little while.
well, well, if she did something on Mother's Day, when's your Mother's Day? Because we have one that's different. We have ones coming up now, and your Mother's Day's, American one is different from our one.
Isn't it in May? I'm not actually
Yours is
sure.
in May, and we
Yeah.
have Mother's Day coming up very short. It's part of the Easter sort of celebrations, but so it's a different time, and that's why if I forget, my son forgets to give my wife a card. He says, "Oh, I was waiting to the American one if it doesn't turn up next week." So anyway, that's just a family dynamic going on there. But more important, she should. That's the sort of thing she should be posting, with her child on Mother's Day. That's good, or whatever, or a picture of her mother, celebrating the work of her mother. I don't know, but they'll see that.
But then like when
It,
it's Lily's birthday, we get multiple posts about Lily's birthday. When it's Archie's birthday, we get one post about Archie's birthday. We don't get There are things like National Sons Day. I mean, it's not as big as International Women's Day, but she does not post about that boy. And it is and I truly feel sorry for him. Like
well,
there is favoritism and it's undeniable.
and it's yes, and if I was Harry, I'd be saying this is not, let's try and even. So we got two children. We haven't got just one. So anyway, that's for them to sort out as a family dynamic. It's not. They're not going to pay a bit of notice to me on this, but the perception is wrong to see that when you've got the Princess of Wales doing something that is quite openly, celebrating other people.
Mm-hmm.
They're not celebrating about her. She is trying to draw attention to what other people are doing. And that's a very different approach. And, markedly so. Another picture of her looking lovingly out over the Californian coastline. Give me a break. Sorry. I mean, look, I'm sure the Californian coastline is beautiful in many places along that coastline. But it could have been taken anywhere.
Well, also,
That
it's
would,
like, yeah, when you scam Netflix and Spotify out of millions of dollars for half-assing a job, and you have the opportunity to live a lifestyle like that. But let's pivot. Let's talk about that because Netflix has officially pulled the plug on its partnership with Meghan Markle's polarizing lifestyle brand as ever, dealing another blow to Brand Sussex. The streamer released a statement that sounded about as carefully polished as the silver on her 2-season series with Love Meghan. But let's be honest, there's really no way to sugarcoat it. For Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, the Netflix era has been a pretty major disappointment for the platform. Heart of Invictus, Polo, Pearl, Live to Lead, major fails, major fails. The one win Meghan Markle has is, and Harry, is the show where they absolutely tore into Harry's relatives. It was a gossip show, basically. It was a reality show, basically.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They were there to, that's why they were signed for that gossip show. Kiss and tell, basically, or the
Mm.
equivalent of. And it obviously it did attract eyeballs. We all watched it. I'm not,
Okay, well, technically you and I had to. We had to.
yeah. Well, a lot of other people technically didn't have to, but did because
Yeah.
there was a curiosity value. It's only subsequently when when she's then being commissioned at the cooking program, was an absolute horror show as far as I was concerned. There was nothing to commend it. And Netflix, we can see Kinsey have just gone, this is no longer commercially viable, this relationship. Now, if those products that, Netflix are not stupid, they saw that it was going to be a wholesale idea that with the cooking program, it would then lead to the marketing of all the products that she was looking to sell. It has not worked. I think in the statement it says that it was mutually decided or something on these lines
But
that,
in Meghan Markle, the plan was always for Meghan Markle to take this
yeah,
inevitably on her own and run. Okay.
well, who's
Okay.
running it now? Who's running it now? Who's doing the hard yards on this? Who's the team who are managing that now? That's what I'd like to know. So it's
Meghan would tell
fine.
you it's her team.
Yeah, but who is in that team? Where's that team? Is it just licensed, a brand that deals with licensed people and then they're responsible now for distributing it, saying on a global scale? Well, do I really want to have sloppy spread sent from America,
Yeah, like
right?
the thing about going global, if it is, that's a great idea
Mm.
and that's a great opportunity if the product is excellent. But if
Yeah,
it's a mediocre product that you're struggling to get rid of in the States, I think that you're going to struggle to have a global brand. Also, food is a hard brand to have globally because different countries have different rules.
absolutely. And, the distribution of these products will be difficult. And I can probably buy flour sprinkles anywhere. If I go to
Amazon, $7, $7
Well,
on
I can
Amazon.
go, I mean, I can go to, we have a thing called Dalesford out in the Cotswold, which you might have, is a big brand. I'm sure I can get some stuff to elevate anything there, and it will be charged at quite a meaty price for the tourists who go there. I mean, JD Vance went there for in his summer holiday, so you can get anything. So you don't need her. I'm not sure how many people in this country will actually be Trump. Rosé. Well, Rosé's to a penny over here. Why do I want hers to be shipped over, probably at vast expense?
Because
Is her rosé
hers is full
any
of
better than
bitterness.
mine?
Hers is full of bitterness and rage.
Oh, okay. Interesting marketing to deploy that one. Have my rosé. It's full of bitterness and rage.
It's full of envy for
Enjoy.
the Princess of Wales. That's what that you know what that taste is? That's envy for the Princess of Wales.
Right. I'll do an advertising slogan now. Drink my rosé. It's full of bitterness and rage. Your troubles will disappear. So with my as ever rosé. Anyway, I don't know. I digress. But rosé is a saturated market over here. Hugely successful brands over here. I'm partial to a drop of rosé, but why would I import some from America? That will probably make it expensive. Why do I need her jam? I don't know what else has she got.
Mm.
Not a lot. And she says this will help her on a global scale. Yes, there will be some people who may, out
Also,
of
like, also,
curiosity,
can we acknowledge the fact that Netflix is a global brand that
oh,
I can watch in your country? I can watch it in
yeah.
Australia. Netflix is a global brand. So to say or to try to paint the picture that the reason you're stepping away from Netflix is because your intention is to go global, it sounds silly when Netflix is one of the most successful, recognized global brands in the entire world.
Yeah, I'm a regular viewer of Netflix products, films and videos and whatever. and watched quite a good one with Vince Vaughn. It was a bit teary, but it was called Nonna's. It was about an Italian restaurant which came out. It was a very sweet and endearing
Very
film. I
sweet.
cried.
Yes,
Yeah, very sweet. I sort of, I love Vince Vaughn,
I do
particularly in
too.
Dodgeball. Oh, I love Dodgeball. It's one of my
I
favorite.
when I was working at the Gap in
Yeah.
Arizona, I had to offer him 25% off of his purchase that day if he opened a Gap card, and he was not
Mhm.
into it. But you were like being watched by your managers, and even though you're like, this is Vince Vaughn, I do not want to
Yeah.
ask this guy to take out a line of credit. You have to do it because you'll get in trouble if you don't. That's my Vince Vaughn.
All I can say is Dodgeball is one of the great films. So I always find Vince Vaughn, Duck Dive Dodge, such a good film. But anyway, Vince Vaughn, very nice, for the sort of Italian, charming. But again, Netflix, something that was enjoyable. Okay, it was a bit of froth, but sort of go washes over. It's not going to change the world. But as ever, you're quite right. With Netflix, with the global brand of as ever and everything in Netflix, they had the means to probably get into other countries. So I think, again, it shows that ill thought out, ill conceived. She thinks she's a great businesswoman,
And she's
and
not. She's not.
well, it would
I went back
it'd
and
be
watched that Bloomberg interview. Did you ever watch the full Bloomberg interview Meghan Markle did where she was talking about as ever and Netflix and the partnership?
no. You better fill me in here.
Well,
Sorry.
so she did this 6 months ago, and it was an interview she did with Bloomberg, which is a big entrepreneurial media
Yeah.
outlet. And so I went back and watched it and watched how many times she dropped the ball. So the woman says to her, like, what's it like to have so many critics of you? And Meghan Markle is honestly kind of really resentful. And she was like, well, if they want to make money talking negatively about me, then if they can live with that, fine. Something to that effect. I mean, what she should have said was, there are a lot of misconceptions about me, and that's why I wanted to launch as ever and with Love Megan. We don't know it's gone yet. This is as it's launching. And she should have been like, that is what I'm using, with Love Megan, and as ever is going to be the vehicle that I use to show people who I really am. It's always about her. It's always so personal. She dropped the ball so many times when she could have used the question to bring the conversation back to her brand, back to the product, back to the TV show. But it's always me, 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 me. I want to tell you Rodney King riots. I want to tell you about the soap story. Like she could have used the soap story to be like, and that's why it's so sweet that now I'm in a kitchen for Netflix and I'm showing you my
Um,
favorite things and recipes in the kitchen. Started off in the kitchen. Now I'm still in the kitchen. But no, it's just, she is so self-consumed.
And you want to look, well, her podcast when she had those with the various women who were on that, and there were some very interesting women on the face of it. Yet again, it just seemed to be about her telling her story. When no, you should be feeding off other people. And we go back to the Princess of Wales and the International Women's Day, the different approach. One is about it's important to celebrate other. I'm just a means to an end to celebrate them. Whereas in her case, you feel like she's using those people to tell her story when it's not. If you're I always say, and I'm sure I've said it on this program, when you're the interviewer, it is your job to get the best out of your guest and celebrate and bring out. And I always say this about people. And yet, Meghan, as we've seen with the picture on International Women's Day, she's trying to say, look at me, where
Mm-hmm.
it should be her using a chance, be in the photograph by all means, but why not celebrate some women that you've been involved with and have been an important part of your life and you see that they brought value to you rather and of course her daughter is important to her and I'm not just that's not the point of this and I'm not having a go at that side of it. I'm having a go that she should use it in a more altruistic way to actually be seen. If she wants to train her band, change her brand and her perception of her brand, she needs to look at it in a different light, which is right. I should make it less about me and more about other people, and I will celebrate what they're doing, and it might have half a chance. But at the
But
moment,
also
I
what
don't
I
think.
think what you're saying is that she's a hypocrite because she tells us she's one thing, but her actions say otherwise. If you want to be known as this martyr, charging full front into Jordan before war breaks out because you are the second coming of Mother Teresa, then act like it. But she tells us she's one thing and then she behaves an entirely different way.
Oh, and there's no two ways about it, but because she's trying to make money and she wants to be the sort of star of the show, and she's not the star of the show, right? She she shouldn't be. She should be using her power of her name for good, not just about her sort of trying to make sure that she can still live this gilded lifestyle,
Not to
a
sell
gilded life.
alcohol, not to sell alcohol. I
No,
mean,
not
she's
just out,
literally using it to
everything.
sell booze.
Booze and some bad jam. Uh, call it what you will, slop. I don't know. You know, so, and a few flour sprinkles. And that's what I find hypocritical is an absolutely good assessment of where she's at, and their whole approach. They play the victim, but they cause along the way a bucket load of grief. And this is another example of them just getting the tone wrong, you know. And
Yeah.
I've read an article saying, oh, how lovely it was in perfect photographs. No, but think about the message. It's not about her. International Women's Day shouldn't be her celebrating herself, which is basically what it almost looks like.
Yeah,
A back
that's exactly
view.
what it looks like.
Yeah, and really, no, no, no. You should be using your platform to be a vehicle to use and celebrate other people. But my goodness me, that would need a change of thought process that she hasn't shown in 44 years.
Hmm. Let's talk about this incredible article on page 6, where Eric Schiffer, who's the chairman of Reputational Management Consultants, told them that Netflix cutting ties with Meghan's lifestyle brand sends a pretty brutal signal to the marketplace. He said, he called this celebrity brand suicide in a cashmere apron. He also referred to As Ever as a Martha Stewart ripoff, as well as with Love Meghan. He said losing Netflix on As Ever is a brutal backlash because the halo just got ripped off, and what's left looks like another failed Montecito money grab. When asked how this latest hitch will affect Markle's future partnerships, he said that Hollywood buyers should question whether Markle has a real audience. In network land, repeated breakups leave a repulsive scent, he said. She now carries the scent of high maintenance, disappointment, and that is rat poison when executives are already gun shy. He also said that her deal history doesn't close doors, but it will hurt her leverage. If I were advising them, I'd amputate the empire fantasy. What a great piece of
Mm.
advice. I'd amputate the empire fantasy and build one excellent repeat purchase business that doesn't need royal smoke machines. They have to get out of the out of touch celebrity elitism bubble and make something people want more than they want to mock. In other words, critics are saying this isn't just a setback for Meghan. It could make other brands think twice before betting on her. I mean, is that not the truth?
Yeah, well, I think we've sort of mentioned that many times, but we can
We
see it.
have, but like that guy was savage, and I just
But he was far more brutal. I don't know him at all. I don't know whether he's a respected figure. You get a rent a quote in these kind of issues, but I assume he is representing a creditable PR firm and has some cachet into what he's saying. But he said it brutally, but he's stating the bleeding obvious.
yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
can all see this, and that's what he's done. And what you've got to have something that people want to buy and tap into, but it's got to have soul. It's got to have a commitment that the person selling it got to believe in it. You see people who come up with a brilliant idea, and you can see that they're energized. Someone has an idea for something, and they will see it through, and they will put their heart and soul into it. For me, it's just a sort of formulaic thing. Look, I've done this, I've done that, and it doesn't have any real heart. Because if she really believes in it, you would sense it.
Yeah.
but you don't. I mean, she can't cook. Well, I don't know if she can, but I mean, this program looks like, it's all been prepared. It's not, it's where, okay, I'll go back to not,
She put a rainbow
yeah.
pieces of fruit
You
on
know,
a tray and she called
yeah,
it a day. That was an
yeah,
event.
but I'm going back to this film Nonna, so I shouldn't be. But the point is about food being something that is with heart, with love. You remember, my mother was sadly, my mother was the worst cook. So I was never brought up with delicious smells emanating around the house because my mother took a very less food is possible on the plate kind of thing. It's sort of,
Yeah.
but having been brought up in the Second World War, when food was at a premium. So she never had I never had that. But, my wife, on the other hand, would always talk about, and her mother was cooking, and her mother was brought up in an Italian family in the North End of Boston, and the smells and the heart and soul. That's what food does to you. And that's what, as Kate, when you look at Martha Stewart, yes, of course it's a big corporation, but she does sound like she knows what she's talking about
She
and
knows.
understands her market.
Hmm.
And any of these things, you've got to know what you're trying to sell and tap in. Instead of a shotgun approach, well, I'll do a bit of flower sprinkles, I'll do some jam, I'll do some rosé, I'll do some candles. It's all, yes, that's all lifestyle stuff. But actually, and then it's accompanied by some marketing guff about how it's going to elevate and smell your way and relax you. And I don't know, some of the stuff you read and you think, oh my God. So everything, so if you're going to sell something, it's got to reflect you and the soul and your personality. In everything that she has, there's a sort of insipidness about it.
Soulless.
Soulless, insipid, nothing, no, nothing. So yes, it may look good. It's in a nice packaging, but beauty is only skin deep.
That is like the Meghan Markle story.
Yeah,
Beauty is
and
only
actually,
skin deep.
you actually want to see you peel back, and it's like getting a chocolate, and then a lovely Swiss chocolate, and you bite into it, and then suddenly you get bombarded with flavors. That's what something should be. This is what and that's what I don't think we get with her products.
Not at all.
And that I may be wrong. I mean, I haven't tasted her jam. I'd like to know if anybody has. And
I'll
is it
bring you some of her products when I come next time. I have some.
well? Well, I know you're coming over in June, but I don't know whether you're coming over before. But I may have to wait till June, presumably, before I taste
Yeah.
these things, and sneak a bottle of rosé in your luggage
Don't
over
worry,
so
I
that
got
we.
plenty of that. I got plenty.
Yeah, okay. Well, it won't take. Well, if it's any good, it won't take long for me to drink it. But anyway, so I'm just curious, and I think that guy has said something that he's verbalized what many of us feel, and we've mentioned actually when we've done this program, a way that there's no Netflix were just looking for a way out. They've got their way out. There's been some sort of PR management of it to make it seem like this was a mutual decision. No, it wasn't. They realized she's no longer making money. They can't see any way of the Sussexes bringing anything to the table that will, um, be positive. I don't know what happens. What does that mean for the film projects that are supposed to be in development and things
Those
like?
are in limbo, in limbo. So we'll have to
All
wait
right.
and see. Rupert and I are going to talk about all about the Australia trip and the history of Harry and Meghan's relationship with Australia next week. But we want to know if you agree with us, disagree with us. Could you outdrink Rupert in a rosé contest? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. Rupert, I can't wait to see you again soon.
Well, I look forward to it. I will be knackered next week because I've had a week at the races.
I
So,
can't wait. I can't wait. You better have a tan.
but well, I want to back a winner or two. But anyway, I'm looking forward to the week in front and catch up and next week, and we can have some views about Australia. Oh no, poor Australia.
What have they done to deserve this? That's right, poor Australia. All right, we'll see you guys again next week. Thanks so much for watching.